Welcome one, welcome all. This is the Ramble Report. I appreciate y'all for tuning in to talk the world of the video games and well, I guess not so much the video games. In today's episode, I have been all consumed by The Sopranos. It has been an all-consuming sort of rewatch experience as I've been rewatching it for the last couple weeks, but something just clicked this week where I was like, it was just all I wanted to do. All of my time spent, any free moment that I had, I spent rewatching The Sopranos. So, not a very video game. And I promise I'm gonna hit the news. I got a lineup of news stuff that I need to cover. I'll hit that with you next week. We'll get into the news, discussing all the ongoing stuff. We got some intergalactic stuff in there. We got some Dan Hauser is going to be doing his first interview in, decades, if not ever. That's coming up really soon. So a lot of stuff that I want to talk about, but we'll save that for a dedicated news video. And today we'll just talk The Sopranos, and then I'll take some questions from the audience out the gate here, the Patreon supporters, the YouTube members, and then we'll just have a nice little chill episode today as we... I was thinking about it, and I was like, I've never made a piece of content that wasn't related to the world of video games, and I'm sure this probably won't be a really well-performing video. Like, I don't think this is going to draw in a lot of traction. I don't think it's going to do so well with the views. But at the same time, it's like, I just kind of want to talk about The Sopranos, and I think that's sort of the whole point of working for yourself, doing your own, and not that this is a job, but having your own thing. Not I wouldn't do this podcast if it was a IGN affiliated podcast or if it was for some network, of course, because you're being paid to do a specific thing. Go do the specific thing. But I don't know. I guess that's the beauty of not having that structure. Do whatever the fuck you want. See how it does. And so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about The Sopranos. But before we get into that, gotta shout out the members at that shout out tier on Patreon or the YouTube membership program. We got Captain Corndog, Sadik, and Vin, who are all supporting at that shout out tier and keeping the lights on over here at the Unnecessary Rambling Studio, the Ramble Factory. And so thank y'all so much for that. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the questions, the Q&A from the Patreon supporters and the YouTube members. So Justin Parkhouse writes in and says, have you ever experienced a gamer rage moment? And it's funny to bring this up because I was thinking about this the other day, where there was one time, I don't remember exactly what the scenario was, but we were skipping school because I remember specifically this happened before we checked in late at school, and we were playing, I believe, NBA 2K11. Or I guess I hope it was NBA 2K11. I hope it wasn't a game later than that, but I remember playing it with my buddy, and we were playing it before checking in for school, and or I don't know, maybe we had skipped lunch or so. I don't really remember, but I remember going back to school because the entire car ride back, and I think he had beat me, and he was Kobe and I was LeBron, like we always were, and he had beat me, and I was all in my feelings, probably saying some ridiculous shit. I was a hot-headed little individual back in the day, and I remember going back to school, the entire car ride there. Well, by the time we had got back to the school, I was apologetic, and I had cooled down, and my sort of senses had come back to me, and I was like, well, I just acted like a fucking asshole. So I was apologizing by the time we walked into the school, and he was like, dude, you're a fucking maniac. And yeah, definitely that was a gamer rage moment. I remember it got close to blows, and it was like my best fucking friend. It was so ridiculous, so juvenile. And but I don't know, I'm sitting here and like my immediate, I want to defend myself and be like, well, you know, you're kids, but I at the end of the day, you always know better than to start getting that hot to a point of you know, potentially fighting your best friend over a fucking video game. But yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and lie. I'd like to say I was always calm, cool, and collective, but I was not. When I was younger, I was really, really hot-headed and had many moments that maybe not as many like gamer rage moments. That one is one that really stands out. But I mean, definitely there were moments that were gamer rage moments or adjacent sort of scenarios like that, where you're doing something or you're playing pickup on the playground and you're getting schooled and you start fouling a little bit too hard, and you know, just that type of shit. I did a lot of that when I was younger. Not proud of it today. Definitely something that I look back on and am embarrassed of for sure, to be as, you know, I've tried to work on my anger issues over the years, but I was an angry little fucker when I was younger. Really, really angry. And you know, mildly violent. I'll say I wasn't, you know, I wasn't fucking, I don't know. I could get overly aggressive when I was younger. That's for certain. I wouldn't say like bully territory or anything like that, but I don't know. This is me viewing me. Like, I don't know how the fuck, I'm sure other people might feel differently, and that's a bummer to even think about. But, you know, you got to grow up. You got to realize that you're being an asshole and stop being an asshole. And I definitely think that in the last, I haven't had I don't think I've even been in a fist fight since, shit, dude, I was 20, you know, it's like 10 years. There was actually, the other day, I was driving and, I had a dude who was just on my ass. He was driving this big ass pickup truck, and living in the South, there's a lot of, you know, compensation for listen, I like trucks as much as the next guy, but there's a lot of little dudes in big old pickup trucks, and they'll ride your ass if you know, I don't drive I drive a normal fucking car. Like a Nissan Rogue. I'm not trying to impress anybody with my vehicles. I'm not trying to, I just want something with good gas mileage, something that's comfy. You know, I'm a big old dude. I'm 6'3". I need a little bit of leg room, but I don't need an Escalade. I don't need a Range Rover. I don't need anything all that fancy. Give me something with good gas mileage, something that's reliable, something that's easily fixable. You know, I don't want to take something into the shop and end up walking out spending thousands of dollars for something that if I would have bought a Nissan or a Toyota, it would have been $100, you know? So like, but anywho, so this big ass truck was on my ass and just riding my ass. And I'm like looking back at this dude and I'm like, I want to hurt you so bad, like so bad in my soul. I want to get out of my car and just drag your little ass out of that truck. And I'm just sitting there, and it's like there are those moments where it's like you feel that your manhood is being stripped from you by society, where it's like I can't do what I want to do in my soul. Like there's a primal urge deep down within me that is telling me something that I need to do that I absolutely cannot do because of the restrictions and you know, laws that are put in place to keep people acting civilly. And it's, I don't know, it's that way for a reason, right? You don't need people running around just beating the hell out of each other because of someone, you know, someone's riding your ass a little bit too close, because it's like, well, who gets to decide what too close is to warrant an ass whooping, you know? So I get it. But he was riding my ass, like consistently riding my ass. And at first I look back, I'm like, do I know this dude? Is this like some kind of, you know, is this someone I know kind of fucking with me? And it's like, I don't know this dude, and just kept riding my ass. And I'm a fast driver. I go, you know, if it's 55, I'm pushing 65, 70 typically. And in this case, I was, because I was trying to go fast to like, and even then you start feeling like a bitch. It's like, I'm driving fast to fucking allow you to feel, I don't know, making making it to where it feels like I'm accommodating you and you're being mean to me. Quit being mean to me. You're bullying me. I guess that's my come up there, or for that situation where I might have been being a bully to my friend. I got bullied the other day on the road by the guy in the big truck. Made me feel like a little bitch, and it hurt my feelings. Guy on the road the other day. If you're watching this, what if the dude is watching? He's like, yeah, I know this fucking dude. Man, he makes shitty podcasts. I'm gonna ride his ass. So yeah, that definitely a gamer rage moment, and I've probably had others. I mean, we used to have tournaments with NBA 2K and Madden a little bit, college football a little bit, but mostly NBA 2K, and it you know, I never took it as seriously as a lot of other people. And listen, you know, you're playing for money and shit can get heated, but like I've seen full blown fist fights, and you know, people can get very. I've never been quite on that level with I've never really been competitive to a crazy degree with video games in general. Like and this is gonna sound like some kind of fucking, you know, I'm not trying to make myself sound like a saint. Believe me, I was a garbage human being from the time that I was probably 15 to like early 20s. Garbage kid. Horrible kid. So what I'm about to say doesn't, you know, I'm not trying to say I'm fucking Saint Mary here, but I, you know, always found like it was, or I always felt like it was more fun to play games competitively, and if you're better than somebody, then to kind of go down to their skill level to make the game even kind of more fun for both of y'all, and they'll continue to feel competitive, and you can keep on beating them, but they stay close. And I don't know, I always felt like that was more fun. And then this was, once again, my buddy who I was playing 2K with just straight up beat me. Like there was no, it wasn't like I was coming down to his level and then he ended up getting the last point. Like he was better than me at NBA 2K. Not trying to, you know, I'm not trying to do, what the fuck, I'm talking about shit from 10 years ago like it still matters, more than 10 years ago. God damn it, I'm getting old. Yeah, so gamer rage. Certainly I have had gamer rage, but I'm definitely not that way now. And then that's the thing now, you know, where I start playing something that's a little bit more challenging and, you know, I start to feel that blood pressure rising. And it's not a feeling that I long for as I'm getting older. Like, and I got the trailer for Sifu running right here because it's the anomaly. It's the one game like this, the really, really hard game, the game that gets the blood pressure up and the heart pumping, that I actually found so satisfying, but just because I love the combat so much. But, you know, more often than not, this does not appeal to me. You know, it just doesn't appeal to me to have this style of experience, being brutalized. And I'm just trying to chill. When I'm playing games nowadays, I'm just trying to chill. I'm trying to, there's that part of me in my soul that is like just angry. You know, like, and you feel it every fucking day of your life. You know, it's still there. No matter how much you suppress it, no matter all of the things that you hate about yourself that you try to fix, like they're still there. And you can't ever do anything about it to make it fully go away. No matter, you can become the most civil, you know, behave as civilly as possible and try to do all the right things, but there's still just that little whatever in your DNA, in your makeup, that is like, I don't know, like I'm just a kind of fucking aggressive dude. I'm just kind of, you know, and it's like you don't want to be, but it's just there. And so yeah, but gaming is really such a relief for that, and that's why I much prefer to play something chill, just hang out, enjoy something, not get overly stressed and not get overly worked up, the blood pressure rising, the heart racing, because then you just start feeling those, like it pushes a lot of that stuff that you bury up top, and it's like, you're angry, and then it's like the feelings of anger they translate elsewhere, where it's like I'm mad at a game, but now I'm on the road, and I was just playing through fucking Sifu or whatever, and I couldn't finish the boss, and now this guy's riding my ass, and I'm still mad about Sifu. Or now I'm at work and I'm still mad about Sifu, and then I'm getting pestered about some other thing. It's like, oh, okay, really? You still got all of that shit just lingering, festering. It's like it's easy for that stuff to come out. When you're poked and prodded, and if you've already had a little bit of that gamer rage hit you, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm already a little bit on edge, bitch. How do you want to handle this? And yeah, so anywho, it's enough fucking talking about violence. I'm a calm, peaceful, civilized individual these days. But how about we talk about, instead of the violence, let's talk a little bit about Far Cry, which I guess is pretty fucking violent as well. So Vin writes in over on the YouTube membership side of things and says, I've been loving your top 100 all-time game series. That said, I haven't noticed the Far Cry IP occupying many slots. Is there a particular reason for Far Cry's modest showing, or is it simply an oversight? Secondly, as someone who's admittedly never played Far Cry 6, is there a legitimate reason that title is widely panned? Considering Far Cry 6 boasts the largest map, a city, although modest, and the largest selection of military hardware to commandeer, etc., is the continual instance of gamers preferring Far Cry 3 ahead of Far Cry 6 mainly due to nostalgia? In your humble opinion, also, can you please personally rank the Far Cry titles that you've played and cite which Far Cry title may offer the overall best experience once one sets the nostalgia glasses aside? Thank you, Vin. So, Far Cry, you know what, I guess we should let's actually start off by ranking it, and I think that'll make more sense to why there's not more Far Cry representation in my top 100. So, at the bottom of the list for me, for my Far Cry rankings, would be Primal. I think the premise of Primal is cool as shit. You know what I mean? Like, dealing with the wildlife, not having the guns and all the... Like, it's still high-octane action, but slowing it down a little bit and, going to the whole, like, Stone Age and just... It's a cool premise. It's a cool setup, but I just kind of like... I like the over-the-top action. I like the speed of Far Cry, from your Far Cry 3s and 4s. And I like that a little bit more guns blazing, over-the-top action. And this just felt a little bit too slow for me personally. I never really connected with it. I never finished it, though, either, to be fair. And I think this is... I know there's one other one on here that I haven't finished. So, but Primal is solid. I appreciate what it was doing, but it would be my least favorite on this list. And then at I've played 5 total, like, mainline Far Cry games. I don't even know if you'd consider Primal mainline. I kind of would, but anywho, Far Cry 6 would be at number 4 for me. So just kind of going back to your question, why is it panned? For me, I can't really speak to anybody else. To me, why I don't really view it as, like, anything overly specialist, because it's very, very, very damn repetitive, very, very, very damn long just for the main story. And the main story just kind of isn't good. Like the John Carlos Esposito, I believe that's the name, the dude from Breaking Bad, if I'm not mistaken. Great actor, but he's just not used all that much. And it's like you said, a beautiful, beautiful game, awesome vehicles to commandeer, and you're just seeing the gameplay. You're like, it is fun, no doubt. But when the story is that light in the ass, none of the stories are great, but this is one of the weaker ones, in my opinion. So it's underrated in terms of visuals, though. Like, this game is stunning. One of the best looking games of the generation, no doubt. Gorgeous, gorgeous video game. But, it's, the story has to be hitting a little bit harder than that one was. So that's why I don't personally hold it in such a high regard. But, still respectable. Solid game. And let's see here. Oop, I'm fucking shit up on the recording. Coming in at my third slot would be Far Cry 5. And this is, like, once again, I think premise really, really strong. I liked the whole cult style enemy design there. I think that the story was pretty strong early on. And then this is the other one on the list that I haven't finished. So I didn't finish Primal. I didn't finish Far Cry 5. I just kind of became uninterested in Far Cry 5 the later I played it. I liked it. And, I really don't have much bad to say about it other than I just kind of grew disinterested. And maybe I should throw Far Cry 6 ahead of 5 because I did finish 6, but I think finishing Far Cry 6 is what made me, and I talk about this every now and then, and it's just the idea that sometimes finishing a game can give you worse feelings for the game than setting it down. And just like I ended Far Cry 5 feeling mostly positive about it. It's like, I just don't really want to finish it, but it's a good game. I had fun with Far Cry 5. But with Far Cry 6, it's like, I think I just put too many hours into it. 60 hours into Far Cry 6. And I'm like, I didn't need all that. I could have jumped out at 10 and had the exact same feelings about it. So, yeah, I think I'll put Far Cry 5 ahead of 6 at number 3. And then at number 2, we got to go with Far Cry 4. So, obviously, that is very, obvious what number 1 is. So, we'll kind of talk about 1 and 2 together here. Far Cry 4 just kind of felt like more of Far Cry 3 to me. And, I think that they'll probably show here in a second the new grapple hook system and all of that. That was kind of the big feature that they were touting, and I appreciate it. It's a cool little thing to add in there, but it just felt very, very similar to Far Cry 3, and I adore Far Cry 3. It's my number 1, obviously. Well, I guess I shouldn't say obviously because I haven't played Far Cry 1 or 2 really. And if I haven't played enough to really consider them in this ranking. And so Far Cry 3 would be in at my number 1 spot, but just to kind of continue talking about Far Cry 4 for a second here, and I actually replayed through Far Cry 4 this year. I think I actually might have played through Far Cry 3 and 4 either late last year or early this year, and it's fun as shit, no doubt. I love Far Cry 3, and having more of Far Cry 3 in Far Cry 4, sure, not mad at that at all. But I think this is kind of where you started to get to that thing of oh yeah, these games are very, very much starting to bleed together, and the success that Far Cry 3 had. So we'll just kind of go ahead and shift over to Far Cry 3. The success that Far Cry 3 had, just it carried such a legacy, so much weight, and I still think the series is trying to find some identity after Far Cry 3. Still trying to figure out what it's going to be other than just another prettier version of Far Cry 3 with a new villain. And there's nothing even necessarily wrong with just doing that over and over and over again. And I think that they're going to benefit greatly from the time off, because there was actually talk today that I saw in the news. Once again, got to put all that shit together and get on it. But I saw that they were going to focus a lot more on multiplayer for the upcoming Far Cry. And I honestly, I don't want that, but I look at that and I'm like, I think that might be a good idea for Far Cry 7 to just let's see what it looks like if it is a multiplayer centric experience, and if you can complete the whole game with a co-op partner, or let's see how they roll that out. I'm open to that potential, for what that could be. But I do think that they need to figure out some identity other than just hey, Far Cry 3 was really good. Let's do some more of that. And yeah, but listen, I think that as you see there with Voss set the whole tempo of oh damn, they're telling Far Cry 3 was a really, really good story, really compelling. And I don't think Pagan was decent in Far Cry 4, and I forget the dude's name in Far Cry 5, the cult leader dude, and then his whole band of misfits. That's kind of what I think that they need to establish first and foremost. What is this kind of are you going to create some new story for this universe that's actually compelling, and characters that people are actually invested in, seeing this entire story play out for those characters, and having, some stake that they're bought into. And because I think that's a big area where Far Cry is struggling, just not necessarily telling all that compelling stories. Far Cry 3 was great. 4 less so. 5 I think kind of got back on track, and then 6 was really rough from a storytelling perspective. So I think that's some of the areas that they should focus on. But when you're focusing on multiplayer, that becomes even more difficult to tell a cohesive, compelling story. So we'll see. It doesn't. Ubisoft is always, it feels like, back against the wall in that territory since probably 2014, 15, honestly, right around like Far Cry 4, because Watch Dogs 1 was a big tipping point where people started getting weary of Ubisoft and their antics. So I hope they get back on track. I really, really do. I like the Far Cry series. I'll play anything in it. I need to play 2 and 1. I think 2 would be probably up my alley with the Metal Gear 3 survival-esque systems, and it seemed like it was doing some weird shit to differentiate itself from the others. So well, at that time, it wasn't even necessarily trying to differentiate itself from the others. It was still trying to find that identity, that stick, that thing that would keep people coming back to it, which Far Cry 3 really blew it up to the next level. And Far Cry 3 is so impressive from just a freedom standpoint. Like, you really could kind of tackle any mission however you wanted to, and take on any mission however you wanted to. Tackle is how you say take and tackle. Good job. Yeah, so Far Cry 3 at number 1, 4 at number 2, 5 at number 3, 6 at number 4, Primal at number 5. So then that kind of gets us back to why are there not more Far Cry games in my top 100? Because I really only love 3. So, spoilers, 3 will be in my top 100. I don't think any of the other games are at all. Could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure 3's in there. Once again, I've already filmed, recorded, edited, everything but published. Like, the last 2 episodes are going, the next one will go up on Tuesday, and then the last episode will be the following Tuesday. And I'll try to promote that, plug that, post that, so that people can be aware that the final episode is available. Because I'm not gonna lie, those videos fucking tanked, man. The first one did really, really well, the top 100. I should have just put it all in, because it's, you gotta kind of look at things for the blessing of knowledge, where I was going to post the unnecessary awards this year, and I was going to do that in multiple parts, where, like 2-3 categories per part, and do like a 4 or 5 part thing that are, only 30 minutes or so long. But, no, let's not do that. Let's absolutely, positively not do that. Let's do it all as one part, because I think that's the thing that people are finding difficult. And that's just, the amount of damn content that I'm trying to put out there to grow this fucking thing. And then having, a top 100 hour long thing that you're trying to watch in conjunction with that. So I get how that's difficult, but I probably should have just posted it all as like one 5-hour long thing, and then just not posted anything else for the rest of the week. I'm going to try to figure out some, better sort of scheduling and all that shit for... Anywho, who cares about all the back end shit? So yeah, Far Cry, not 3, all-timer, no doubt. Love 3. So influential, so impactful, so impressive. The rest of them don't quite hit for me in that top 100 sort of category. Why do people like 3 more than 6? For me personally, storytelling is the main reason. 6 just has a weak story. Everything else about 6 is so dope. And so that in my soul, it's like, I think if they can just tell a really, really good story, like cinematic fucking, put some money in that, make it feel special, high octane set piece moments, make it feel like a big action movie, I hope that that's what they do for Far Cry 7. gotta remember that I can pause these damn recordings and y'all don't have to sit there and fucking watch me drink water like a damn. It's still getting the hang of all this OBS on the fly production shit here. All right, so I think that if I'm not mistaken, is all of the, and I'm recording this a little bit early, so if any other questions are submitted to Patreon or the YouTube membership side of things, I'll hit those next week and include those in the show for next week. But let's talk The Sopranos. So as I was saying, I've been in binge mode with The Sopranos. It's consumed me. I started watching it a couple weeks ago and just kind of dabbling. I did my top 10 TV shows of all time episode that's available on Patreon for the YouTube members, and I had Sopranos like around 6 or something, and I was like, that just feels wrong, man. I loved that damn show, but I haven't watched it in a while. I haven't rewatched it in a while. So I booted it back up, and whatever happened this week, I just locked in, and I have been burning through episodes. I'm at like season 4 now. I'm definitely going to finish, complete the entire rewatch of The Sopranos, but it's a masterclass. It is an absolute masterclass, man. I adore this damn show. It's funny that like the things you kind of realize on a rewatch versus your main takeaways while watching it the first time. Like I knew that the mother was vile, Tony's mom. I knew she was a vile, dangerous. Just like you think about all the moves she made, like real power moves, while also having the wherewithal in terms of being able to manipulate her perceived vulnerability and being able to weaponize that as a strength of hers. She's like, dude, Mount Rushmore of my all-time most hated characters in the history of film, television, whatever. But it's the masterclass of writing for them to have the ability in season 2 to somewhat bring you back around on this fucking vile vulture, just this I hate that lady, but to have the ability to bring you back around. And they do it by introducing like an even more vile, vindictive, narcissistic, just fucking leech, which is Tony's sister. And it makes you forget about how much of a piece of shit the mom was in season 1. It's just, it's masterful writing, man. And even to the extent of like, you even kind of somewhat end up coming back around on Tony's sister. Like when she ends up getting hit, and you start drawing newfound sympathy for her in that scenario, and you're feeling bad that she's in that spot that she's in. And I don't want to overly spoil anything, because I understand that it's mostly a video game audience who's tuning into this, and like if you haven't watched The Sopranos, I don't really want to spoil The Sopranos for you. There might be things that I'll try to timestamp around the shit that I might end up spoiling. I've always found it so hard to talk about TV and film and stuff without spoiling things, but it's, she ends up getting hit and she responds. She has a response to that might seem a bit outlandish, but you have this element of sympathy built in, because it's like, dude, you're hit by you got into this relationship with a dude who is a full-blown piece of shit, and that's like obvious from moment one, and you hate to judge people by just appearance alone, but they portray this dude as like a full-blown piece of shit, and she's already had like negative relationships with this guy in the past. She gets back with him, and then once again, from just a pure character study standpoint, it's like, lady, you were out of your fucking mind. You were just going around looking for danger, and that's a theme that carries over. You even see that a little bit with Tony, as he finds some love interests that are a little bit batshit, and he's consistently attracted to the batshit, the batshit women out there. And it's like, well, something's fucked in your family, and it's like, oh yeah, back around full circle. That lady, the mother, is nuts, and she was nuts the entire time. And then so you your whole thing flips back around again, where it's like, yeah, okay, so the sister, she's fucked up in the head because that's right, damn it, I forgot the mom is fucking nuts. I was feeling sorry for the mom because you bring the sister around and she's a leech trying to fit her way in, get her what she believes is rightfully hers with the house and any money that's left over, and she only shows up when she feels like the mother is vulnerable and about to pass away and she can gain something from that. It's like, you absolute vulture, you fucking roach, you vulture. But why are you so fucked up? Yeah, and I guess with the whole show being this big therapy session, it's like, oh yeah, right, you're fucked up because the mom was unbelievably vile. And so it's like, yeah, I guess all of that makes sense, huh? The only character that I really never felt like any sort of hatred for throughout the entire series, and listen, she definitely has her ups and downs, but I don't think that the therapist, like, I don't think I could ever view the therapist as some sort of, vindictive, or she has her character flaws, and those show as she starts getting maybe a little bit too attached to Mr. Soprano in an unhealthy way, and she's even going to therapy and trying to address that and deal with that. But like, I don't ever really see her as this just vermin. She is one of the only redeemable, and from start to finish throughout this entire series, I think she is really the only character in the entire show, for me personally, that I just kind of consistently rooted for. And it's wild that, like, a relationship that is that deep between her and Tony, and the fact that it never, I guess spoilers, but it never quite crosses that line into this sexual relationship. And it's like, it's the constant will they, won't they, pulling you along, making you wonder, like, is it going to happen? And then when it never does happen, it's like, there's something really brilliant about that writing. At times it does feel kind of a little bit like shit or get off the pot, where she's becoming infatuated with him, and she's, he ends up meeting one of her other clients. There's like a rescheduling conflict, and he ends up meeting another one of her clients, and Tony and her client kind of get into this, what's it, Gloria, I believe her name was, she works at the car dealership. They end up getting involved, and once again, she's batshit crazy, just as the Russian is batshit crazy. And Tony is also, he's not innocent in this. Tony's fucking batshit crazy himself. He's a fucking serial killer, mobster, criminal. But I think that goes without saying that they're all kind of batshit. But it's, he ends up getting involved with her, and then her therapy sessions, as she hears him on the phone at one point while Gloria's calling in to reschedule, if that's even her name. I could be wrong on that, but she's calling in to reschedule an appointment, and she the therapist thinks that she hears Tony in the background, and she's like, what the fuck? She starts getting her antennas, her ears perk up. I was like, what the hell is going on? And so Gloria comes back in for therapy the next time, and she's questioning, like, I heard a guy in the background, and she's kind of doing all these things that a therapist maybe shouldn't really do, imposing and kind of, questioning areas of her personal life that the client hasn't put out there to be questioned. And listen, I'm not a therapist, but I wouldn't really, like, just speaking for myself, I don't go to fucking therapy. I probably should go to fucking therapy, but I don't go to therapy. And if that was a situation where I called my therapist and they heard something in the background and they're questioning me about what they think they heard in the background, so I don't dig that. I don't dig that at all. And so she has this infatuation with Tony to some degree, and this inability to quit Tony, this inability to, like, she knows that the therapy has kind of reached its point where he's not going to get any better without moving forward into this new line of therapy, into, I don't know all the fucking terms they use for the therapy. It's like trauma, whatever the fuck. And so she wants him to move forward with, like, a new kind of more advanced line of therapy, but she won't push him there. She won't, expedite. Is that a term you use in therapy to get from one thing to the? Anywho, she won't grant him the ability to move forward with his therapy because she is still addicted to being his therapist for whatever reason. And then, but it also it makes sense where something awful happens to the therapist, and really the only like power player, the only person that she knows that really can make shit move on a dime. And she even says that when talking to her own therapist. She's like, does it make me feel good to know that in a second, if I wanted to, I could have this person killed, this person that did me wrong, I could have them killed. She's like, yeah, it does feel good. It does feel good to know that. So she's even admitting that there is this infatuation with the power, with the, because Tony, he's the guy, right? And that's the wildest thing about all of this is James Gandolfini. He, like, you look at him and he has this like goofy kind of, when you see him smile or whatever, he looks silly. He looks like a dad you would just see at the t-ball game. And he looks like an everyman, but then you'll see him flip. And you'll see him talking to one of his lower ranks or you'll see him talking to somebody and he's towering over them motherfuckers. Always. He's always bigger than everyone he's around, taller, looking down, like as you see on the screen, looking down at everybody, just towering over people. He is a force. He's a fucking unit, a big old dude. And he's scary. When he gets going, he is scary as hell. And it's like the scene where with him and Gloria, and this is, like I said, it's impossible not to spoil shit a little bit when you're talking about, because it's nothing but story. It's not like I can talk about gameplay. It's nothing but damn story. But when he is with Gloria and it's the final kind of interaction between the two of them as she's trying to ruin his life potentially, which he's, fair enough. I get it. I'm not trying to do the thing where it's like the man is also guilty in the scenario as well. Shouldn't be cheating. I get it. But she's going the extra mile beyond the cheating to like get involved with his. Okay. Yeah, I get it. Let me fucking back up. I understand that he is ruining his marriage first and foremost. Totally. But she's adding more ruin to the marriage by trying to go out of her way to contact the wife and to, making threats to contact the daughter and to expose this whole thing. And then Tony fucking flips and, I'll fucking kill you, bitch. I'll kill you. And she's looking up at him saying, kill me, kill me. It's like, oh, God. Damn, that's dark. That's one of the darkest scenes. I mean, it's probably the darkest scene. I don't know. It's one of the darkest scenes in this entire show. So goddamn heavy. But it's all back to this thing of the kind of all of these characters in this show have this propensity, this sort of attachment to chaos. They're compelled by chaos, constantly coming back because they're drawn into chaotic environments, even to the point where, and I don't know if is it an intoxication of being around this sort of chaotic environment, you become more and more enamored by it, more addicted to it, because I don't know if you necessarily view the therapist like early on. Is she compelled by chaos to that degree? I don't know. I don't think so. But something about being around it for a sustained period of time, she does become infatuated with it as well to a certain degree. And I just find it such like it's a masterclass in writing all of these characters who are very, very different from one another, but kind of all have similar things that draw them in. The carrot at the end of the stick, whatever you want to call it, there's something pulling all of these characters towards a center of chaos. And watching all of them just be drawn into this center of chaos throughout the show is really, it's just super, super impressive from a writing standpoint. And I think there's something too about like the lack of loyalty, which just I think makes for compelling TV, unfortunately, where like early on that Tony is obviously not loyal to his wife, but even the wife isn't necessarily all that loyal to Tony. Like, she is. She's definitely, like, if you're having to weigh who is more loyal, like, she's more loyal than Tony is. Carmela is more loyal than Tony is. But, you know, she's a little bit, she's into the priest early on. And there's something in the air there. And in the potential for her to cheat on Tony with the priest, which... I mean, that's comedy 101. But it even evolves from that and consistently evolves from that. Like, she doesn't have any the only thing compelling her to be loyal is like Tony is a good provider. Tony makes sure that the kids are well fed and well funded, that the house is paid for, that the lights stay on, that the jewelry on your wrist is shinier than the jewelry of any of your other friends' wrists. I don't think that was a sentence, but you get what I'm saying. Carmela's got the baddest fucking diamonds on the block, and she's stunning. She's living well, and so that's a reason to stay faithful, to stay committed to that monogamous lifestyle. But from a morality standpoint, from a writing standpoint, when you're writing a television show like this, you wouldn't blame her for cheating. This motherfucker's cheating nonstop. And so from our standpoint, the viewer, it's compelling television to watch two people who at any given, in any given moment can and will cheat on one another. Like, that's just undeniably compelling, unfortunately. And you're rooting for their relationship the entire time. Like, you're rooting for it to work out between them. And any moment where it is working out between them, you're like, yes, this is, y'all are doing the right thing here. Like, keep doing the right thing. And then it's so fascinating from multiple different standpoints where it's like us as the viewer we can even feel some sense of guilt of like, why are we so compelled as well? Just once again, in this circle of chaos, why are we compelled by Tony cheating and going out and seeking out the chick who works at the car dealership? Why are we so compelled by, Carmela potentially cheating with the guy working at the house? It's like, why are we so drawn to the chaos as well? And I don't want to go into this full fucking therapeutic horseshit, but and it's not horseshit. It's good. Go and get your therapy. But the whole thing I'm saying is like, it is just this circle of chaos that you even start getting pulled into. It's like, why am I rooting for people to get whacked? Why am I rooting for people to cheat on one another? Sure, it's entertainment, but like, is there something you can seek out about yourself? Like, what is it about me that finds this shit to be so tantalizing as well? And I don't know, it's one of those shows that you can kind of reflect on yourself a little bit and maybe gain some valuable insight by doing so. But regardless, once again, you're rooting for Tony and Carmela, and anytime that things are going good, you're wanting them to get just better. You just continue getting better and better and better. And of course they don't, because it's compelling television, but it's I like the scenarios where, I mean, this is definitely whatever. I mean, it's talking about the show, but like he has sexual kind of just doesn't quite have the desire there with Carmela typically. Like they even talk about it where it's, I think at one point she says it's been like a year since we've boned, and it's like, holy shit, that is fucking that's rough. Like I can understand from Carmela's standpoint why it is so tantalizing, why it is so she can get so lustful about priests and handymen and these different people, because it's like, well, yeah, everybody has needs and hers aren't being fulfilled, and Tony's are nonstop. He's boning everybody nonstop. And so like, it's but then again, like I hate to be so brutally honest, but from the standpoint of a man, it is like, I wish I could explain it to you in more of a practical, logical viewpoint, but whatever it is about being a dude and the thing that you have, the thing that this sounds so misogynistic or whatever, but it's just the truth. Like when you have something locked down, and it's like, yeah, okay, that's going to be there at home. Like you have this thing about you, and you have to contain it. When you get older, it's like you gotta fucking grow the fuck up and know that you can't just go out like the hungry dog and then roaming the streets looking for prey every night. Like you can't eat everything that's on the table, you know. And that's a funny kind of talking point as well, as that becomes like a big thing later on in the show, as it makes you examine what you like, your manhood, and the things that you just have grown up with that are so ass backwards at times as well, where, you know, there's the whole thing of you know, we'll save that. I don't want to fucking, that's like diving way too into the weeds. But anywho, it's just a thing of like, unfortunately, there's something about a lot of us dudes. I can't say every dude. I'm not going to try to talk for every dude, but every dude that I grew up around, like there's a difficulty of being faithful because it's the hunger isn't there anymore. Like you're and so yeah, I get it from that standpoint with Tony, and the ability to have whatever you want whenever you want because you are the guy, you are the mob boss. So you feel at least some. I'm not saying I get it. He's in the wrong for sure. I understand, but you at least feel some sort of, you can understand his position as well, where it's like you're just being flung everything that you could ever want, and the temptation has to be pretty damn severe there as well. And I think a big factor in that, in Tony's relatability or whatever you want to describe it as, is like the fact that you've written so many batshit characters around him. Like, once again, talking about Janice, talking about his mom, talking about, you know, Paulie, or you could go on and on. Like, there's some fucking Chrissy. There's some characters that are fucking out to lunch in this show. And so you just have this sort of thing instinctually in you that's rooting for Tony. And as fucked up as he is, his surrounding cast is they are off the deep end. They are out to lunch. They are so far gone, so irredeemable, so many of them, that's like you're just kind of rooting for Tony. And it's a weird spot to be in, where it's like you're a bad person. You're probably like full-blown evil, but you're around things and people that are even more evil and have no redeeming qualities. So it's, I kind of just root for you by default, I guess. And I think they do such a good job of disarming the viewer by, you know, I mean, essentially, like, the core of the story is this dude going to fucking therapy. It's endearing, you know, where it makes you as a man feel okay to be depressed and to be anxious because you're seeing someone that's that powerful on that level have to deal with it as well. And I think most men are suffering like fucking crazy from anxiety and depression and all these different emotions and feelings, and keeping it inside because, you know, we just know there's not much sympathy on the other side. Like, when we tell people our problems, that's often used against us. So, you know, we all just kind of stay silent on all that shit, just bury that shit deep within ourselves, and it just festers and manifests. And then that's how you deal with your high blood pressures and your clogged arteries and your drug addictions and suicides and all the rest. But I actually think one of the best things about this show is that it shows a man that we all view as very powerful, that he's seeking fucking help and at times really benefiting from the help. And, you know, not that the show needs a big message or some positive sort of takeaway, and I don't think it's even necessarily going for that, nor should it. It's a fucking show about the mob and a real solid depiction of that lifestyle. But, you know, it never hurts to find some positives in that shit as well. And I think that would certainly be one of, if not the main positives. And even from that standpoint of, this kind of, it's an interesting spin on the whole mob movie, mafia, that style of storytelling where it's the end of that era and they're trying to keep the family alive and keep the business afloat. And then you're dealing with rats and betrayals. And then once again, you got the mental breakdowns and all of that shit in the mix. But I think it's such a good portrayal for like showing how normal people can get roped into this lifestyle. Seeing a gambling addict who can't afford to pay up. But hey, he owns a local store and then he can get access to loans and lines of credit. And then the mob ends up using him until he's fucking completely dry. And, he's filing bankruptcy at that point, and he's a complete shell of himself contemplating suicide. And you see that like normal people get roped into this criminal underbelly, not because necessarily they're bad people, but because they have these addictions. And if the mob feels that they can, take what is a weakness of yours and turn it into a strength for the family, like they're gonna fucking do that. And I think that's really what makes this show so special, in my opinion. Let me get that damn trailer rolling. So I went through and combined a bunch of the Sopranos trailers and clipped them out all into these little 10-second intervals so that hopefully this can run the entire time. Y'all can have something to look at other than my ugly mug, and then we won't get hit with a copyright strike, God willing. So let's hope that works. But I think that's one of the strong points of the show, is that it's obviously Tony is the star of the show, but there's so many other like compelling side characters. Or, you look at like Chrissy and Adriana and their whole thing with the music industry, the infatuation with the music industry and trying to get involved there, and then her as the club owner, and then throwing in the undercover agent into the mix there. And I kind of wish they would have explored some of the music industry side of things a little bit more. I thought that was a compelling, it's not something that they just like completely left on a cliffhanger or anything, but I was interested in that, and it didn't feel like that was fully explored, that whole dynamic there, which I guess, anywho, but so obviously you have like AJ and Meadow, the brother and sister dynamic there. And I think that even that is portrayed in such a realistic manner, where you're seeing when Meadow goes off to college, and anytime she calls to the house or anytime she's around, AJ is like wanting to hang out with her and wanting to make sure that he's spending time with her. And it's like whenever she was at the house, when she was living there, when she was in high school, it's like you couldn't wait to get away from her. But it's that brother-sister dynamic, or just, anytime that a loved one leaves and then comes back, leaves for a prolonged period of time and then comes back, and like, you don't miss your siblings until you haven't been around them for a while. And it's just such a, she'll call and he'll be like rushing to the phone to go and pick it up and to, be able to chat with his sister. There's like those wholesome things there, and there's a good degree of humor, and it's all of the emotions. They show they do such a good job of spotlighting like every human emotion and highlighting it to 11. Like all of the, when you go from the super dark shit like we talked about earlier with the kill me scene with Tony and Gloria, and then you got the damn Meadow, the scene with Meadow, or it's pretty much the entire episode with Meadow's soccer coach, just a vile fucking just absolutely vile, deplorable human, and that whole arc with her teammate and the potential suicidal ideation there that was caused by the coach, and heavy shit like that. And I really loved the episode with Meadow and with Tony, where they are going on that road trip to visit colleges, and it's the first time that Tony really opens up to Meadow about the life of crime, and it opens up to some degree, and she's starting to get wise to it and understand it, and he kind of comes clean to some extent. And then of course you go into like the humor side of things. Like, this is a funny fucking show, a consistently funny fucking show. With Paulie and the poison ivy, and these moments that are memorable, like, you know, you get genuine laughs from a super serious crime drama thriller mob related piece of media, but it's also incredibly damn funny. It's got everything, man. It's just god tier television. And I think that's the thing too, right? Where it's like it had to be television. Like, this works for TV. And I love mob movies, Goodfellas, Godfather, Scarface. I love all that shit, But when you start seeing it, like, whenever you have 80 plus hours of content, you get to see that it's not all guns and glory and shootouts, and there are just slow moments, and like, once again, showing how people are getting roped up into this life in the first place, and showing that a lot of things are I mean, so much of this show is about setting something up for it to maybe never even pay off, where it's like literally going in and strategizing, trying to figure out a hit that you're trying to set up, or trying to figure out, how to move these pieces around that they may end up never being moved around at all. And it's because, well, like, that's the life. Shit is ever evolving, ever changing. It's shifting on a dime. But also showing, like, yeah, you take the money, you flip the money, and now you're pretty much like, there's certain people who, they may do small jobs, but they mostly run a fucking nightclub, or they mostly run a sports gambling company, or they mostly run some scam about, whatever damn scam of the day they're getting into. It's a lot of that shit in organized crime. It's a lot of, hiring dudes to do these small menial fucking tasks that are gonna, get you an extra $10,000-$15,000 of income each month. And just to be able to slow down, that's really the thing of being able to really slow down and show the complexity of that end of, it's the end of that era, the end of the mob era. And it's so wild how it just all linked up. It's the end of the mob era, and it's one of the last, like, real prolific, big, well-received mob-related pieces of media. Like, the end of the mob era being depicted, and literally the end of the mob era for film and television happening at the same time. And, I mean, I don't know. What a swan song. What a way to close it all off with, I don't know, like, you always want to say these definitive things of, is it the best? Is it but like, I think this is my favorite piece of mob related media of all time. I think so. I don't know. It's been a while since I've rewatched The Godfather. It's been a while since I've rewatched Goodfellas. I rewatched Scarface quite a bit, but that's, once again, I like the high octane, fast moving chaos of Scarface. But yeah, I mean, anywho, that's my damn ramble for the day on The Sopranos. I really, really love that damn television show, and that is something I will absolutely, positively be finishing up. I know that Borderlands is coming out, and there's some stuff coming out, but I don't know. Every now and then, I think it's just like, I'm not in like a slump or anything. I've been playing and finishing games and enjoying games, and it's not like I'm. So, like, okay, so I was playing Daemon X Machina, the Titanic Scion, really good game, and I was also playing Hell is Us. And I was like asking myself, I was like, is this pulling me in more than The Sopranos though? Like, would I rather, with the free time that I have, would I rather watch The Sopranos, or would I rather play more Daemon X Machina, the Titanic Scion, or Hell is Us? I'm like, I think I'd rather just watch The Sopranos. Like, I'm consistently more captivated by that. And, fair. I've already watched it before. It's not like this is pressing, but it's none of this shit's pressing. None of this shit matters. It's all just entertainment, all just escapism. Do whatever the fuck you want to do. Enjoy it. Don't enjoy it. Do whatever. I don't know. I have been in this sort of haze of sorts where it's like, I just want to watch The Sopranos. I just want to chill and watch The Sopranos and eat some damn Ben and Jerry's. Gotta quit eating fucking Ben and Jerry's. Gotta quit eating Ben and Jerry's for sure, or I'll be sleeping with the fishes, and I'm not going to be one of those talking fishes that they mount. I remember that shit when that shit came out. The fish that would do the dance and they would talk, and Tony would have the damn bad dreams about them. But yeah, I gotta quit the Ben and Jerry's before I end up in the sea sleeping with the fishes. But yeah, man, that's the episode for the day. Short, chill episode. Hope y'all enjoy it. I know it's very much off the deep end to continue on with the aquatic references, the sea life references, but yeah, I just don't really have a lot to talk about in the world of games. Like I said, I'm compiling some news. I want to do a news episode soon. I could do that today, but we're already over an hour. Let's just keep it nice, breezy, chill little episode. Talk about The Sopranos, and we'll get back into the flow of things. But it's peaks and valleys, right? It's peaks and valleys, and I've been peaking with some Sopranos enjoyment and escaping through the world of The Sopranos. So hit me in the comments, man. If you've watched the show, what your thoughts are on the show. If you what games have you been playing? All the things. Hit me in the comments. Do the likes, the bells, the all that stuff massively helps out, and I genuinely do appreciate it. And yeah, man, The Sopranos is a good television show. Yeah. Hope y'all enjoyed the episode. I know, once again, I'm aware that this definitely, certainly not. Got to get back on the A game for next week. This was a road game this week. Got to get back in the swing of things next week. But this is actually the first recording I recorded with Loon earlier. And I got to plug that for sure. I'll actually pin a comment down below. I've been doing a lot of recordings with Loon on his channel, trying to, get some eyeballs over there on his content. And so go and check that out. Certainly check that out. We got, what did we do? We did wrong games, wrong console, right games, something like that, where we go through and talk about exclusive games that could have benefited from going to a different platform or whatever the case may be. And we have some other stuff that we recorded today that should be coming out in the next couple weeks or so. So go over there, check his channel out, give him a subscribe, and then watch all that stuff. And, but yeah, this is the first solo recording, I guess I should say, that I've done all week. So rusty indeed. But yeah, we'll get back into it. We'll get into the swing of things. I appreciate y'all so much for tuning in, and I shall see you good people in the next episode. Take it easy, guys. Goodbye.